Thinking back in time when love was only in my mind, I realized ain't no second chance. You got to hold on to romance. Don't let it slide.
We've got this playing off the speakers now because no one's here.
There's a special kind of magic.
No one cares.
In the air.
That's good.
When you find another heart that needs to share, baby, come to me. Let me put my arms around you. This was meant to be. And I'm also glad I found you. Need you every day. Gotta have your love around me, baby. Always stay. 'Cause I can't go back to living without you.
Spending every dime to keep you talking on the line. That's how it was. And all those walks together out in any kind of weather, just because there's a brand new way of looking at your life when you know that love is standing by your side.
Baby, come to me. Let me put my arms around you. This was meant to be. And I'm also glad I found you. I'm so glad that I found you. Gotta have your love around me, baby. Always stay. 'Cause I can't go back to living without you.
And that's a good place to end it. Minute intro. How do you like that? 2-minute intro. And we'll do a couple more of these. A minute here, 2 minutes here. I'll try to hold your attention. I'll probably be with you for the next hour or 2 hours. I have full reign and authority to speak my mind. No one is here, and that's how the universe does it up. Okay, I make a determination that I'm going to be speaking truth because I just cannot sleep. And why can I not sleep? Why am I not like the rest of America? I mean, take a look around at what's going on in the world. Solar flares aside, and again, for the umpteenth time, mini moon. Haven't mentioned supernova in a while, but that's coming either between now, later. Some people call it the Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse effect. Some people think it'll kill us. According to the pendulum, it's not going to kill us. It's probably going to make some of us probably going to give some of us superpowers. Others, they might go nuts. I think that we're going to see a continuation of extreme violence and demonic activity, and then others are going to become more spiritual. I'm aware of the increased racist Black people, and listen carefully. If you think I'm becoming racist, I'm becoming aware all the time of spiritual Black people. They're constantly coming to my path to keep me away from calling them certain names when I become angry. You know what I mean? And that ancestral angry becomes angry at that territorialism because now we're in these cities now in concrete, and I don't want to be hateful, bro. And I tell these spiritual Black people to their face, bro, I'm on YouTube. I cover Black on violence. I know you're not like that. I just want you to know, I think racism will get worse in the future because these things, I know you're not like that. All right. Now, there's a couple stories that we're not going to talk about right now. We'll talk about it at home another day. We'll do the streaming, and I'll do it without crying and screaming. And maybe I'll even take 10 or 12 reports and cut down the most important stuff so you're not overly traumatized. But that's going to make me, it's hard on me, right? To look at all that stuff. And then it makes me cry, and then I start screaming, and then the neighbors are like, that guy's screaming. I literally was screaming, and little girls heard me screaming and were concerned. And I didn't know what they thought. I was asking myself, were they concerned that I was needing help because I was crying out for Jesus to help me? Or were they thinking that I was hurting her while saying, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me? You know what I mean? I don't know. The thing is that I know that I'm yelling a lot more because I'm really upset and alarmed by the violence that I'm seeing and that I'm not getting the support that I need. Let me go ahead and cover up the view count. So what I'm telling you is, I still haven't achieved a mental mastery to where I can look at the news and not be traumatized by it. Okay. But we do need to understand there's a lot of demons and devils that are in both male and female form. Sometimes they have kids. We're not to assume just because somebody gets whacked that they did something wrong. And I just want God to protect those that I love, and I don't believe that I am to love all people. I am to love in a general way, but on a romantic level or a deeper level, no. I don't think that a good man is supposed to like bad women or even to lay down with them or anything like that. And anytime and thank you for the like, one person bounced, but I need to stop being judgmental of people that bounce. I have no idea why they're bouncing. A lot of people, they can only handle a couple minutes of me and they're ready to go to bed. Oh, there he is again. He's talking. Oh, there he goes. All right, good night. I mean, literally, who really wants to be up all night watching me at 1 o'clock in the morning? But then again, I've been surprised. You surprised me. It'll be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. There'll be 15 people here. But it's interesting. Here's my book here. It's interesting speaking about these concepts. And books will have a certain magnetism to them. So when you speak about a certain level of truth in a certain environment, it affects it. I'm constantly going to the book and putting my finger on random pages and then reading. The beautiful waitress here, she's one of the most beautiful white women. This area has a lot more white Latinas. And as a result, there's a level of beauty with this solar maximum that I've never previously witnessed in a woman. For those of you that have only seen Oregon women, that's very, how do you say, wonder bread compared to the reality. Their value is extremely overinflated. You want to know what hell on earth is? Look at how the Portland women are so overly inflated and how undervalued true women are in other places in America that aren't whores. You know what I mean? Women that aren't whores in America aren't getting enough love. Does that make sense? I just want you to know that. Also, women that are fit and attractive are not necessarily whores and trashy and demons because they're pretty, because they care about their body. Take a look at all these people out there that make excuses for not working out, that are letting themselves completely fall apart. And they point their finger at other people, and there's many of them. Did you know that it's a status symbol to be a fat person here? It's definitely a status symbol. If you're fit and you're intelligent and you're smart, you're spiritual, you're a subhuman. Okay? And if you become angry, if you talk back, you'll be thrown away. So your only role, if you're someone like me in this environment or living situation, is to be a pet. So what do you think I'm really doing here? Do you think I'm drunk right now? Do you think I just got in a fight right now? No. I slept a couple hours, woke up, got out of bed, and just started driving. And either I'm going to drive and drive and drive all over the city in the metro area, or I'm going to drive somewhere and rest. And I could say I'm going to sit here and just be a calm little Buddha and keep my mouth shut for 6 hours. That's the goal. Till the gym opens up at 5. Go in the gym, literally destroy the heavy bag, terrify every single tall black man in the gym, although they won't admit it, and all their girlfriends that love them, and then leave like the subhuman that I am, while declaring my authority over the earth with God, right? As we build the heavens, as we build the hells for these scumbag human beings that allowed this planet to fall into shit. I've got their number and I'm coming for them. It's just that simple. I'm going to be beyond human when I die. It's just that simple. I just came to earth to get my training to figure out how scumbagish of a planet you actually became. So I know exactly where to hit and how hard to hit to knock your ass out. Because you must go down, Grid, to save the human species, to save the women from your rape gangs. You will be destroyed by me personally. I will find you. It's just that simple. I am the ultimate warrior against this rape machine called Earth. All right? And God put me in the form of an ugly ass midget so I wouldn't be fornicating with too many people of this planet to pull me away from my path. Make sense? I was blessed to be rejected. I'm blessed. I'm like a god or something. Whereas these other men that aren't rejected, they're being pulled into the abyss of this and that and this and that, hanging out the strip clubs and hanging out the OnlyFans and directing this. They're literally going to burn, and their wee-wee is going to fall off. And it's going to hurt, you know? And it's not just the wee-wees that fall off, you know. There's a couple other uteruses that end up with problems too. And where do these things come from? It comes from immorality. And that's where beautiful women and beautiful men in their older years, where do they maintain their beauty? How do they maintain their beauty? How do they maintain their good looks? Well, there's a secret to that success, you know, being hot and stuff when you're older. It's being with a good juju man and woman in the last days on earth, as opposed to the opposite. Because when you're with the bad ones, you lose innocence. And as a man, you lose innocence. You lose your innocence. when you lay down with trash. And so that's why I'm not permitted to be like a regular man. I'm not permitted to get on dating apps. I'm not permitted to go downtown. I'm not permitted to go to a strip club. Okay. I might have certain permissions, but I don't get to live like a regular man. I don't get to womanize. I don't get to build an organized crime pyramid. That's not the path that if I even try to go down that path, I'm going to be smacked down real quickly and things will not work out for me. Whereas others, it'll work out for them. They'll make money. They'll go on and they'll go on a path of going that there is no God, there is no karma because they did X, Y, Z. But it's all a setup for when they pass and they enter into the real world and the simulation's over. So there's too many humans that think that this is the real world when it's the simulation. It's just one long, boring ass test. But even people that are deep spiritual teachers can show that they have deep mental problems and that they're at war with God. Mark Passio, for example, at war with God. Oh, yeah. Truth be told, at his house in 2013, he hears some of my content. He is more attacking me than trying to build a cooperation, Mark Passio. You think Mark Passio likes a guy like me? Guess again, numbnuts. And you think Mark Passio could take a guy like me as much as he talks MMA? Mark Passio wouldn't last 15 seconds with me. He's insane. He still has, and many people know it, a real satanic attitude and pure hatred towards his audience. He's a very unloving man. He's a very disturbed man, and so are his audience members, nearly all of them. Actually, sometimes I like to think, oh, there might be some people like me and Passio. No. If you're putting Passio before me, then the anger, Paul, are you there? Or have you left me already? The anger and rage of Passio, if you're not spiritual, will override my spiritual juju. Especially if you're a white man and you lean towards the rage of Passio more so than the rage of being a short brown man that feels blamed for 9/11. Like, which do you associate more with, me or Mark Passio? When you get outside the box of identity politics, then you can get closer to heaven. So many of you don't even know what planet you're on. And if you did know what planet you're on, you wouldn't hang out with a dude or watch a dude that hung out with Alex Jones and Donald Trump. You would call his ass out. And you would ask Mark Passio, why are you being so violently angry towards your audience and threatening to punch them in the face when you're actually hanging out with a guy who rubs elbows with people a couple moves away from neo-Nazis? Why don't you, when you talk about Nazis, direct your tough guy at actual bad people? And so he's just talk. You'll never see him at the gym. You'll never see him at the heavy bag. But because he screams and he sounds abusive to women, he'll have all these women throwing their panties at him because he's playing what? Bad boy. He's not a nice guy. He's malicious. Okay, and so he'll have 1,000 female friends that will bow to him and kiss his feet because he's an abuser. Do you understand? That's how things are on the earth plane. Take it to the planet that I'm building with God called Planet B. And isn't it funny that they have that thing on Five Below saying that there is no Planet B? There they are trying to preemptively get in on mind control, telling us that this is the only world that there is. And so just get down on that pole. Get down on that pole. Make that this is the only world that there is. There is no God. There is no devil. This is the only world there is. So do whatever you've got to do to make that money, honey. And as one waitress said that I work with, that shithole called Ruth Chris Steakhouse, that satanic steakhouse that threw me away 5 years to the day, that would never let me be a waiter, but only had me be a busser. Use it if you got it. Use it if you got it. God, if you're going to be born into a tramp town as a man, you're going to be conditioned by the women to chase after tramps and to ignore godly women and to not even know about their existence. I think it's really interesting that throughout my teenage life, there was no girlfriends, there was no communication, there was no email. So even before 9/11, the giant Nephilim worship program was already in full gear. It just had not gone into full-on hyperdrive like it is right now with the Nephilim porn, mirroring the craziness of the tall man worship everywhere in society now. There's a real genocide taking place. And it's like, it's the most opposite thing you can be of loving to a woman because it's women that create life. And it's women that create old forms of life, and so the real oppression of women has happened at the hands of women. The future is women and men selling women. It's women and men because even the women, they're going to lose their millions of dollars that are involved in organized crime, that are involved in being a mafia wives and things of that nature. We're so deep into the money system, sell, that it's going to be nothing but a human trafficking hell here when people lose their jobs and people can't eat out anymore. And it's such a dumb society that they can't trouble think and go, wait a minute, we got to get out to the country then with the good men that can fight. We got to get out. And so I cannot find a good man. I'm searching for a good man everywhere to box with me, to talk spirituality with me. So it's clear you can't be a good man and be a part of this society, have a job, be a manager, have a girlfriend, have anything. Like you're going to be excommunicated, if not straight shot. And I'm tired of people telling me to fear for my life because I'm being open about being against evil. That's crazy. You know what? These men telling me to be afraid and whatnot, what are they doing to push back? One guy called me a friggin' homo. Now, I've made it very clear to these lesbian Latinas that I'm trying to court and be their friend because the heterosexual females don't see me as a spiritual teacher, just a potential looking to date them or something like that. Like they're in a ooga booga box. Their crown chakra is not yet activated by the midi moon cycle as I had prayed for, but maybe yours is. But the thing is, you need to understand that you are not a woman. You are not a man. You are supposed to understand that you're a light being who is trapped. That's right, honey. You're trapped in the world of physicality. You're trapped in the world thinking you're white, you're black, you're short, you're tall. You're trapped in hell. You got it. And that's what I mean when I say people actually don't know what planet they're on. They really don't. They think it's Earth. It's actually hell. Where nice guys and nice girls finish last, not just nice guys. You do realize that women are conditioned to be the opposite of nice. You do realize that, right? You do realize that if women go full nice like the nice guy, that they could face punishment, rape, kidnapping, all types of horrible things, which is why you see more women in pornography rather than speaking the truth about the New World Order. It's about our paying the bills and being a part of the matrix. But if we have a consciousness shift, a DNA upgrade, then all the answers will be given to us. And then people don't have to be slaves anymore. But they maintain slavery over what? Utilities, water, septic systems, welfare. The very fact that people don't have to work very hard for a certain amount of money just to keep the will, but they do have to work hard, but not compared to the third world. So it's like we are literally living on borrowed time. Now, let me address a certain somebody out there talking about California flipping the script. The flipping you're talking about is the magnetic fields. On the West Coast, according to Greg Braden, it's big time juju when it comes to solar flares. And so when you go from the ethnostate reality back to diversity, which was supposed hell, all of a sudden you find out it's not hell. Hey, look at that taqueria. Oh, look, she's hot. Oh, look at, but are you yet connecting the dots of the sun, or is there still denial? The sun, bro, is bringing out that what? Starts with an F. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Google Maurice Cotterell if you don't like me. Fertility, bro. He's been on Coast to Coast trillions of times. He's recognized. It's called science. When the solar flares are popping, so are the balls in the man's equipment. So are the eggs. And people are going, out, out. They're not thinking solar flares and fertility. They're just twerking on the nightclub. They don't want to know about the science of solar flares, but they're twerking like it's the end of the world and they have to make babies like there's no tomorrow. But they don't want to know about the solar flares, but they're twerking and they're getting down on it. You know what I mean? And it's getting nasty. And so that's the reality of it. There's more baby making activity for the next 3 years. I'm a scientist. You got it. I'm abnormal. And you're going to see more of this abduction, rape. It's just going to explode with the sun. But the humans on the ground are saying, stop trying to help us. Stop trying to prevent rape. Stop trying to incorporate your godly scientific knowledge to help our people. You don't belong here. And that's exactly what this earth is. It's a place where people, highly intelligent people like Jesus and others, are crucified or they live horrible lives. Meanwhile, stalkers, bad people, Nazis, even former Nazis, they continue to live in prosperity and they're never taken out by the rape gangs because they have a cloak of protection from the evil one. Does this make sense to you, sunshine? So that's why a lot of people are afraid to become godly, break the contracts with the devil because there's an internal fear of them that the knockout punch is coming for them because of what? Negative karma. Well, the goal then is to work out that negative karma so you can minimize that knockout punch artist coming around the corner. You want God's protection. You can carry brass knuckles. You can hang out with a giant boyfriend who can't box. You can do all these things. But if you don't have God's protection, then it's going to be a magnet. And all the time I see stories about women getting shot. It happens every day now, and I have to stop crying and not click. And like I said before, we're going to go over the stories of the violence soon. But we're going to do it calmly without me freaking out and screaming. And we're going to say it again because now we have 8 viewers. Some little girls who are in my area heard me yelling and they were concerned something bad was happening in the house and they sent the dad over. And I thought that a time's coming where they need to know what I'm yelling about. That I'm yelling about China. So at that point, I wrote China will invade on my car with my finger because it's dirty. So now, then I start putting out survival books in the window seal. Somebody says, don't do that. Don't interact. You know what, ma'am? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude, but like shit's hitting the fan and everybody needs to eat. So you know what? This book, I'm being cool here. It says urban survival, wink, wink, windowsill. Next day, China threat, windowsill. Next day, SOAR maximum. And then like anybody, if they're looking for info, they start to see signs literally in a windowsill. Bro, you don't need to be claiming that you're the return of Jesus Christ or something. To be godly and spiritual and to have the gift of gab to show people signs. I am a person who was sent to earth, who knows how many. For humans to hate themselves so much to believe that none of us are gifted with gnosis is deep and revealing, and I want nothing to do with poo-poo. I won't even reply to poo-poo. 99 to 99.9 of society is shit. You don't think that I think that my audience is like an enlightened group. None of you, just to remind you, have emailed me since the last rants. So like this isn't like you're with me in this late night, but you're still not engaging with me. You're just watching silently as a passive observer. All right. So namaste, breathe. As long as we have an agreement, I'll try to keep the anger down and yelling and try to send you consciousness energy to get you wake up. But I'm not going to tolerate bullying, and I'm going to respond to very few emails from here on out. Very few emails. They have to be empathetic. If people are confused or I don't understand why you would say this, I've only been watching you a few months, then you're not worth my time. And let me explain why. Because the vast majority of people throw me away after 6 months or a year because I keep discussing my life story. And this society does not permit people like me that are short and brown, Afghani and white to be talking about that level of trauma. You don't have a field of reference or a manual where it's familiar. It's too unfamiliar. Stop being offended. You're not being attacked. Namaste. It's so alien to your society that it assaults the brain for me to be talking about white supremacy or black. When I talk about black supremacy around blacks, they start screaming and shit. It happens at Taco Bell. Are you ready for the next story? So all I did is go into Taco Bell and I order a double decker. And then I look around and the guy's staring at me and he's holding the stare. And then I look away and he's holding the stare again. Well, you know, I'm using the pendulum now. So I have no real friends that are psychic to talk to me. So I have to do what plenty of people do. And I start asking, is this racism? That's getting me a strong yes. And I'm seeing this over and over. Well, I'm also seeing the spiritual black people that are the opposite. So I stay out of the racism and realize that this is demonic, not race. They're seeing who I am as a light being and they're freaking the fuck out. Okay, now I don't want to be killed by the other Saids in this town that are driving Ubers because I know they're deliberately taking out my people because they hate me more than white people. Whites don't know that or admit that. And I tell them that at the gym all the time. And it's so sad to see this mind control of my people. Black men are the most superior. Get woke now. 25 years of white supremacy to go into black supremacy had just shown me this planet is nothing but hell and should be destroyed. Like there are so many single men that have lost their women because they're being told they have no value. Whoa, we're not the ones doing the raping downtown. We're not the ones in pornography simulating like attacks and rape and shit. You know what I mean? Like this is a hell realm. And so I actually want to refuse to believe that all women have dark kinks because now that's the dark side of the internet coming at us to brainwash us into thinking that all the women are evil and want it that way. You know what? No. I'm going to find somebody who isn't like that. Who does like her own heritage, who isn't actually racist, who actually knows what racism is and the truth about 9/11. The 99.9%, like I said, the worst people you'll find even with women are conspiracy theorists. Why? Because they should know better than to become right-wing nutbags. The women in my audience are the worst of the women because they've been privy firsthand to life-saving information that they could be sharing with women. They just prove that they're part of the anti-woman sentiment by not sharing my teachings with other women to prevent human trafficking. That's why Patricia has been told off by me, who came up on email saying, hey, big boy. Hey, what happened to us? Hey, here's my phone number. It's like, oh my God, how unpsychic are you? How dare you come at me after your teeth have fallen out and your hair is falling out and they don't get it. Their health and their wealth went away by the men that they were with. They don't understand this concept. It's alien to them, and it's scary to be a psychic man. Talk about the more fornication you do with men that have no value, the more it's going to tear apart your health and maybe even give cancer. Like they don't necessarily believe in spiritual sex. And so, like I said, I went to Starbucks the other day and I gave rose quartzes to 2 staff members. That's a no-no. Anytime as a spiritual man, you try to interact with the general public, it's going to scare them away and the inner shaitan. So you have to go into ninja mode and be very select. Like I'm very select here. I think I can talk here when no one's here, But if I talk when cops are here, when black people are here, when the black waitress is here, there's going to be a negative ripple effect because I'm addressing the racism, right? Whereas other people, they'll have the maturity to go, this is too much. I just don't want to hear it. I don't know what happened with the older blonde manager. It was about because I thought, you know what? I need to connect with my own race and stop focusing just on Latinas and just give her a chance. Don't judge her for being white. She gave you some free bread and psychically they were picking up on my podcasts. They don't know what I'm saying. They don't want to come to the YouTube, but they like the masculinity of a guy who comes out of nowhere, who's a stranger, who's speaking the truth. So I was vibing to that, right? And you saw I was doing the podcast and they never interrupted me and they just let me do their thing. So I wanted to maybe start talking to the blonde manager, go, do you want to talk? I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but I'm spiritual and I believe you are too. Can we be friends? And I felt, no, don't do it. They're smiley, but it's just a temporary thing. Faithless follower, if you understand that. It's a reflection of the cosmic times, but it's not deep enough to establish. There's still going to be fear there. So the other woman, I don't want to describe her appearance, but she has a dyed hair. And most of us men, we don't have the highest opinion of the white girls with the dyed hair. You know, they're going with the brothers. We don't necessarily like applaud that. We sometimes, and so I realized that she's also matrix. She cries a lot. And I psychically pick up on, not that I pick up on everything about you guys. I definitely do not. But when I'm around people, I get bad vibes from trolls and whatnot, but nothing specific. But you know what I mean? When I get people, I pick up on, someone's abusing her, boyfriend abusing her. So I was thinking maybe if I hang around there, she'll start talking to me and I can pretend to be therapist and we'll do like a mutual, you know what I mean? So I gave her a rose quartz. Then I felt jealousy from the other one. Thanks for commenting tonight, Faithless follower. I don't know who you are, but I'm going to feel better once some females show up too and show that they're part of the awakening. But right now they're choosing to. God's not wanting to show me that. So I'm looking at your page now and it looks like male. Okay. So yeah, for the women watching, you need to understand the world did end because you weren't a part of our movement to save it. You wanted in the end the men to do everything. Okay. And you weren't really a part of an equality movement to pull your fair share of the anti-New World Order sediment. When you guys got involved, it always got pulled into far left Antifa or far right Trump, grab that coochie extremism. It was very rarely a middle way with you ladies. And constantly always going back to this Orthodox religion, whether it be you Muslims with the hijabs, you know, like that man grab you real hard and slap you. Or, you know, the fake satanic Christians. You want to be with the fake Christian man who watch the porno, not do anything, and be a piece of shit. Or maybe a fake New Age woman. Oh, you're just there to look sexy, Buddha, medallion, but you got your titties hanging out. Doesn't matter what the race is. Doesn't matter whether they're with attractive and fat. Now we can isolate all those different things. And so in the end, attractive women are superior, because at least they may care about the temple that God gave them. And then some women may think that they're unattractive when they're sexy as hell. And they're actually being abused by a man and they're ignoring a man who thinks they're sexy as hell. This is how deep the mind control is. Do you understand? So a woman could be with the man who's calling her fat, whereas she's turned away from another man who thinks she's absolutely sexy. This is hell. They literally have screwed up our brains. The largest sex organ. Now, I appreciate the donation, but I do not receive money from YouTube yet because it's so low. You have to reach a $100 threshold. So while I do appreciate $9.99, it would have to get up to 100 for there to be a cash out. Okay, so just before anybody donates anymore, you know, you need to send nothing's coming in. But if you guys want to start adding momentum, I'll start pumping out content so we can get $100 a month. But right now, just so you know, it's at $20 a month. And that's in my 25 years. So understand, I'm being calm and Buddha-like, but you understand the only reason is because I gave up all my material possessions, just to remind you all that I'm totally with nothing. Because a woman is helping me, one out of all of you. and she's not of my heritage. So don't cry, but understand why I fight the racial supremacy attitudes, because my people don't like me and don't actually help me in the real world. They just watch me online. And money's fine, but money is just digits too. You know that the real thing in the end, guys, is real friendships in your locale. Okay. So I think I'm doing real good right now for not screaming, I have no real male friends. You understand? And I'm so nice to these guys. I try to teach them these things, focus pads, and I give this guy a book at the gym and he keeps it. It's the same crap that I dealt with in Portland. The only positive dealings I have with any men is those of you in the chat room. So I'm going to send you positive energy. I'm not going to bitch at you for donations. I want to thank that guy for the 99. I'm going to complete this podcast now. We just crossed the threshold of 144. We're going to take a music break. So let this be time to meditate if you like. I will answer your question, Zen, in a moment. Zen, did you not hear me clearly explain the situation with Gypsy? I talked about it 10 times. If you need me to give you a cliff notes, then I'll take a deep breath and do it. But I already mentioned it on camera, and I thought you watched all the videos. So did you miss that? You need to let me know if you missed that, because I already explained it a couple times. But I'm calm tonight, so I'll do it again. I talked about it like 5 times. Thank you, Goriel. And I see that you are male. So it's pretty consistent. That is a male-only empathy frequency with the things that I'm saying. That's not misogyny for me to call out what's going on the earth. It's a deep sign. It's a sign of the hive mind, reptilian hive. There's a shared consciousness. In about 1 minute, I'll answer your question. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is ask if there's any accuracy in what Gypsy was saying. And then I'll talk about meeting Gypsy briefly, what we talked about, and basically is Gypsy accurate at all in what he's saying? Okay. Now, is that archonic interference for him to be even perceiving those things? And was he perceiving me as homosexual falsely, which is what he stated in the email, which is horrifying because I'm pretty homophobic. So this is what happened with that. You got to be careful what supposed psychic men you talk to. So this guy, let me take off the headphones. This individual first found him in 2018 on YouTube, and he was talking about a security guard harassing him for wearing a running vest. He was feigning compassion for Arabs, and boom, my ears went up. What a nice man. What a nice white Jewish man on YouTube. Maybe he'd be my friend. And that's where I left him a comment. Year was 2018, and that was the first mistake. Because you can be connecting with someone on the internet, you develop a chord with them, kind of like a woman talking to a guy she shouldn't, and then boom, oh God, now I talked to him. And then, so he was nice for a number of years, and then we had some talks, and he was nice and therapeutic, and I whined about W, and I cried about this while I was on the land. And while we were doing that, I had bad dreams that they were watching us. Space Force. Yeah. They were listening via satellite. And I told him we can't talk anymore because they're listening. And he kept trying to get me on cell phones. Now, I'm not bashing him. This is not a bash. This is an example of how you can come in contact with another guy, whether it be in a prison cell or a real situation where they're almost trying to dominate the situation, not just with a woman, with a guy. And it's kind of like that. And I have a history of just men trying to tell me what to do and think. And then, I told you stories about my old friend in Portland, and then I know I'm probably never going to be friends with that guy again because I talked to Gypsy about him and we made a podcast. And so I also let Gypsy into my inner life in a couple of different ways. Like, he even called my mom and chastised her but I don't know what he did, what he said. He basically gives me a certain level of advice, but on his channel, like he'll tell me, don't do creatine. That adds to like the demonic influence. He'll take creatine. So without attacking, there are things there that, and I don't want to attack people that have issues because they've been assaulted. And so we both have been assaulted in the head. We both have brain issues from being punched, but we also are a little bit psychic and have a supernatural understanding of things, right? So we both are very masculine on a level and opinionated, and sometimes opinions clash. And I have an advanced understanding of some spiritual concepts that he seems totally allergic to. Okay. And I don't want to fight about or even talk about what it is, but some people are really locked into through upbringing a certain specific way of this is good, this is God. And then these people, these cultures are bad and they're a threat. You know what I mean by that? And so in the end, from watching the BitChute content, a lot of it wasn't very supportive of understand the overall agenda, but was very much, us versus them, Israel verse. You guys follow me on that? Do you guys follow that, Zen? The whole Israel versus the world thing and how that can be problematic for people that are in paradigms. It's actually quite scary. And it's not really compatible with the truth movement. Does that part make sense? Like the real truth movement. Like anybody can just say, hey, I'm a truther. Everybody's a zombie, right? But if they inherit like a natural, like, you know what I'm saying? It can be really like, oh my God, this is really scary that people are like that. And so like, it's actually a bad thing for me to get to know people online. Having said that, like, so I'm telling you what happened. I'm building up to the story. It was more than that. I was talking about wanting love, basically. And I don't know if you listen to the podcast, he was acting like he didn't even understand what I was saying. Love, like, what's that? Why would you want love? You know what I mean? And the feeling that I got from him and other people is they didn't want me to have love. Does that make sense? And men can be like that. Want to sabotage you because they were sabotaged to prevent you from being successful, and will basically poo-poo any type of magical thinking that you can find the one. And maybe some people, and that's the truth. Have you ever heard this term, misery loves company? Any of you can answer that are watching out of the A because the chat's open. You don't have to, but you understand that concept. That's basically what it is. And then, so there were other things that were insinuated, like I have to leave, I have to move, like now, like they're coming right now. And that the claims of them remote viewing and things of that nature. And then claims that I appeared extremely homosexual, which isn't fair at all, just because I was discussing nofap and trying to become spiritual, because the more one ejaculates, being hetero homo, the more they're in the carnal world. And the less you're tapped into that, the more spiritual you are. And the more the energy goes to the crown chakra, the more intuition, the closer you get to God, right? Which is why there's a really compatibility with some lifestyles and my content, because we're about freeing from slavery. And a lot of people, this is what I was talking to, because I'm making more lesbian friends. a man that isn't active at all is superior to both the homosexual and heterosexual. It's the non-active man who's seeking to get to God that is the closest ally of the spiritual lesbian who was molested, who is going to need a good protector. Okay, the current men that are with them now are not ready to fight human trafficking. They don't really care. They just want to have a good time. You need good men that understand that are psychic, what's coming, that use pendulums, that take these things seriously, that understand that there is a devil, that cities like this are the worst on the earth, and that they are the most to be punished because there's no real godliness and love here. There's just humping and humping and humping. And if there's no love and snickering and everything is a cackle, then you don't have love to hold back the evil that comes from downtown to hit. And so when the economy goes and there's no money and there's no poverty, and people can't eat at Denny's, it's not a joke anymore. When people are counting their pennies and they're looking at the bank account and they're seeing there's $8 there, it's not a joke. Then you have people committing crimes, kicking in doors, and that's the future of this region. And so those of us that don't have guns, that just rely on our hands, that have to do martial arts out of necessity, we understand what's coming, whereas the others, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, thinking that obesity is a status symbol. I've never lived anywhere. And that doesn't mean that large people are always unattractive. Some are very attractive. There are many women that have a few extra pounds that are more attractive than petite women that have nothing but pure evil coming out of their eyelash mafia eyes. You know what I mean? And that's a very disturbing reality where these women want us men looking at that booty, but they don't actually want us if we're not, the archetype. And that's dangerous. We did have some good podcasts, but you don't understand, Zen, how deep the matrix goes then. So then I'm left with what? Fear of him, right? Because other things go out on his podcast, cursing people that took the vaccine, things that I don't identify to be truth frequency platforms, you know what I mean? But going the other way. I want to make sure you guys got that one. Yeah, I don't think, now I know that maybe I did too, go down that road of cursing Portland. Portland should go down, but that's because that is a genuine evil place. But maybe I shouldn't do that. For whatever reason, Portlanders were never drawn. You're right, Goriel. That's true. I just want to fantasize about me maybe bringing them back to the light. And what I've been doing is I've been asking this, is the person who I'm looking at here, who I'm admiring through a photograph, worthy of me sending positive energy? Okay, because I made her a protection canvas, which I've never done before. Okay, and I've been relying on the pendulum the whole time to determine whether she's here or not. Okay, and it says she is, and it's just a matter of time. But if that happens, my life will change, and I'll have to move. And that can mean homelessness, so I might not go that route. I'm not trying to ruin my life. What I'm trying to do is find love, consciousness through another human being or a few, so that I don't become hateful, and there's more, so that I feel that I have energy. That when you have the love of good women, even if it's non-sexual and it's telepathic appreciation, you're a stronger person. A bunch of sexual activity with a bunch of women is not the same thing as real love for the soul. That's more important. And that's why I've been trying to reach out to these lesbians in town that have already turned away from men, to tell them that I don't covet an agenda to sleep with them. And I am more valuable than the guys that are sleeping with guys, because I'm sleeping with no one. And God is first. Not the anus, not the nothing, but God. And that's why I am superior in helping them. But we need to have some men with guns, if it's me with a bunch of females during the end times, because I don't have anything. What would be ideal is like an off-grid scenario where we're off-grid in the Colorado mountains with maybe a few guys that have been screened out that are genuine, but most men are going to be territorial. You know what I mean? Most men are going to be territorial around their women, and they don't know how to actually function. Same thing with their wives and daughters. So a lot of men, they actually have the archetype program of just the family's the cult. You got to be wary of a lot of couples, because with a lot of men and women, their main agenda is to stay in the couple cult. Same thing with homosexuals too. Couples, as long as the couples are together, that's the main focus, not the world. You know what I mean? And that's fine, but that's not why I was born. So different souls are at different levels. Some were called here to do things, and some are just happy they got out of hell and they're no longer burning, and they just want to eat, and that's cool. But some of us, we've been going round and round and round over and over and over, and we're just trying to get out of the whole thing, upward. This is getting boring now for the 1,000th time, being born, being child abused, going through the thing, turning 30, turning 40, turning 50, turning 60, dying, and then again in a new body, in a new generation with a new war. And then having the whole memory wiped and going, why is this all seeming familiar, this cataclysmic? Because we've been through it before. And so, like I said, we have brown people in this community, but they're not represented at the local library. They're not represented. They're not in influence. We're being ruled over, okay, by tall whites and blacks in this region. That's not to say that you should feel bad for being tall and white watching me in New York, watching me in LA right now. You're watching me in Oregon. But these people here in this region, they're not watching me because the hold is too strong. Any type of light is funny to them. Literally, like when I'm working out the gym, the women just cackle when they're on their hamster wheel. They just are cackling for a full 45 minutes. Who cackles while you're on a hamster wheel? That sounds like my mother, who still does the little girl voice at 70 to attract bad men. Tell me more, Goriel. Tell me more about this terminology you're using to be very rich and descriptive with your language, like I'm a retard. But basically, you're talking about women that go from guy to guy to guy, and I'm just going to jump into it. You're in Oregon, right? There you go. They're the worst. Did I make myself clear? It's a demon portal. Yay? Lumeria? Maybe we should do some research, Goriel. What is it? It's an interdimensional porno portal of all types of craziness on the West Coast, all the way up. And that's what's sad is they're fleeing for this place. And New York, they're just bringing the demons with them and infecting these areas with the virus, which is why homo or hetero, when you not fap and not masturbate and you go straight to, which is not some idea, that's too disciplined. But that is straight monk level, and you develop superpowers of the brain, of the consciousness. You perceive things that are not perceivable. And then you have sexual experiences in the dream realm with goddess type figures that only come out when you're abstinent. And I'm not lying. At 7 days of no release, I'm getting kissed from an actual spirit in the real spirit world by not being a little nasty boy. That was amazing. So, but how do you do that past day 10? I don't know. Maybe one day I'll tell you. Now, you said you're in Seattle, and that's Alien Central. And you said Hillsborough. Okay, I never lived specifically in Hillsborough. So is that you're talking about the sitting here at Denny's? I don't know if this is the ideal conversation. I'm actually going to play some music, but I don't know where to take that. I'm just going to conclude and say that Portland has a shady history of people being kidnapped, and you're talking about Oregon. And so if you don't know that, you should know that there's an energetic residue from the past where men were abused, where men and men were abused when they created Portland, Oregon. The men were kidnapped and they were shanghaied out to sea and they were made slaves. And it was a conspiracy with the people of Portland to do that. And then the women were shipped in and they were made to be prostitutes for the men that serviced the men that built the city. And so you have being shanghaied. And it permeates the whole region. Plus you have the persecution of Native people. I don't know why there has to be an upside down cross there. Yeah, give me a minute.
Fallen angels lead to the street. It's an empty dance and so incomplete. The hollow voices whisper the cry. Farther down the line, there's a reason why. You tried before, but you can't buy it.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk for a couple minutes. Other people are eating here too, so I'm going to let them have a break from my voice.
Shadows that point the way never lead you out. It's a game they play. The madness comes and the madness goes. It's a simple world, but it's all they know. You tried to fix it, but there's nothing you can do. You just gotta see it through. The darker side of the night burns like a fire for the wasted life. And there's no way you can fight to show some respect and try to survive on the darker side.
This song actually heard playing from autoplay. And so autoplay on YouTube, even though I'm always saying everything's a conspiracy, I'm seeing a lot of interesting videos, conscious videos, leading me to have other theories about spirituality and AI with the types of songs and information that's coming to me that's matching my thoughts. But I'll always be suspicious of demons still trying to lead me into AI. But there can be a spiritual side of technology if we're able to communicate truth about injustice. And that's the message that Sufi Realities talks about, the only Muslim that I will listen to because he's loving and he's not like the Orthodox people here that fear me more than my own people. I'm telling you, that's very traumatic. I'm going to stop the music to be told that I have a bloodline tie to that religion and to not be able to communicate with Muslims. So, when I lived in Portland, Oregon, this place of Antifa, where the person chatting here doesn't exactly get along with them, there's a really angry, almost rapey type of like smutty type of a vibe, you know, and that's where I have memories of people being into like death metal and, as you know, a lot of porn stores, which are a little too easy to go into and become corrupted with the little booths and whatnot, which used to be in downtown Portland. And then you have a lot of people traditionally that have moved there from California, and not to blame all people from California, that wouldn't be fair. But there's a history of people from California going up to Portland and causing a lot of mayhem. And then you have a history of I'm going through my history of videos here. There's a history of really ruthless fighters and mean guys. Have you ever heard I bet you've heard of that one, right? From the Gypsy Jokers to, I told stories about my friend, or at least repeated the stories that he claimed, but it was all basically glamorizing extreme violence. And that town has a history of not Italian mob activity, but people acting mob-like, loan sharks, just not the 5 bureau families of New York, but basically a lot of prostitution, probably a lot of pornography is made back in the day. A lot of, not that all gay men are like that, no, but a lot of pedophilia and little boys being raped in the 80s was happening in Portland. And I was warned a lot not to go out. And then you had fighters like Curtis, who is MIA. And he got into meth, but he was one of the most dangerous fighters who ever worked with with my old friend at a nightclub. So this is him. Possibly tweaking in 2009.
I make money and I really don't love hoes. Tell you the truth, I swoop when they cook. I used to sell loot, I used to shoot hoop, but now I make hits every single day. With that nigga, the Jiggy Dr. Dre. So lay back in the cut, motherfucker, before you get shot. It's 187 on the motherfucking clock.
And one of the things that I would do when I was connected with him on Facebook and being psychic was being aware that he was being attacked by demons. He was doing meth and he was doing these bizarre meth drawings with demons and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, look at that shit. That is deep. And his stuff's still up. In fact, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little superstitious about showing you that stuff, but do you want to go down that road? Because I can go hit the back button. And he put a few of that on his, okay, let's,
Boy, it's getting hot. Yes, indeed it is. Snoop Dogg is on the mic. I'm about as crazy as business. Marquis, Sparky, chronic, but real quick. And let me get into some fly gangster shit. Yeah, I lay back, stay back in the clutch. Niggas try to play the D.O.G. like a mutt. I got a little message, don't try to see Snoop. I'm finna fuck a bitch, what's her name? It's Luke. You try to see me on the TV, use the BG, go double G, yes, I'm a OG. You can't see my homie Dr. Dre. So what the fuck a nigga like you gotta say? Gotta take a trip to the MIA and serve your ass with the motherfucking AK. You can't sleep the Deagle Double G, cause that be me. I'm serving them, swerving in the coupe. The Lexus, flexes from Long Beach to Texas. Sexist hoes, they wanna get what this, cause Snoop Dogg is the shit, biatch.